Another home game played and another home game won. You didn't think it'd be easy, though, did you?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to our post-game live feed here on Saturday. It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our post-game live show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, the Wolfpack survive another one at home, this time 30-20 over the likes of Louisiana Tech. This game had a little bit too much drama for my liking, although if you've been a Wolfpack fan for longer than yesterday, you're used to this type of thing. Grayson McCall goes down to injury. Freshman CJ Bailey comes in and basically saves the day for NC State. We walk away with a 30-20 victory. Kenton, we got all sorts of angles to tackle here. Where would you like to start?
I mean, where could we not start is a better question. But obviously the story is NC State has found its quarterback. With all due respect, even if you don't look at
Hard to disagree. Hard to disagree.
Here's my thing. Even if you don't look at the situation from a injury, health, whatever that case may be standpoint, let's just look at on-the-field production, right? On-the-field production, 6 quarters, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
6 quarters, no touch. You know what? Let's take the last 4 out. Or let's take the first 4 out, rather. You went a half scoreless against Louisiana Tech. And the crazy part is, you and I discussed during the offseason, hey, Grayson McCall doesn't have to be Superman, but what if he is? We never discussed, what if he's the worst version of Bizarro? What if this just looks really bad? What if this looks awful? What's the case there? Because there was a consensus belief amongst me, you, many of Wolfpack Nation, many people who looked at this team going forward, hey, it was going to be all right. He was going to figure things out. To me, I think that this skill position group showed us exactly what you and I have been talking about all year.
Yep.
You don't have to be Superman to win games with this group. If you extrapolate what CJ Bailey did over an entire game, this thing is not close. It's not close. But when you get what you get in terms of 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, 3 and, when you get those things back to back to back, you see that game be closer than it should be. And again, I'm not a guy who likes to try to quantify stuff that's hard to quantify, like, oh, what would the momentum look like and all that. Just objectively from what we saw, when you are on time and on target, when you put it in a place where Noah Rodgers can go get it, he goes and gets it.
Yeah.
When you and I were joking before we got on there, Dakari Collins was his favorite target. Apparently, they're both about the same height, so they just make eye contact 30 yards away from each other. But
that's right.
You see what happens. When you put it in the area where Dakari can get it, he's going to make a play. And so it is, to me, the job that CJ Bailey did. I don't want to over-index and now say all of our problems are solved offensively. But I do think the proper way is to say we have our quarterback of the future. And if Will Wilson comes in and takes that spot from him, we have an even crazier situation, because that young man must be, because I saw something special from CJ. The ability to distribute the ball in a way where it's like, hey, I don't have a favorite target. My favorite target is the one that's open, which, that's been one of my gripes. Even before we even started the season, I said, we have the talent now. Do not make KC Mr. Everything again. And that was how this season started off. And then you go forward and say, okay, well, we can figure it out other ways. And again, Bailey is on time, on target, distributed the ball. Phenomenal job. Just phenomenal. I can't sing that young man's praises enough, especially coming in a relief situation where the other guy gets hurt. You're not prepping to be the starter. You're not up by 60. You're in a situation that's technically more pressure-packed than most people can imagine. You're trying to prevent a loss to a group of 5 school in your first ever appearance as a quarterback that's going to have to throw the ball because he didn't throw it against Tennessee at all. So, hell of a job, man.
Yeah, I mean, first things first with Grayson McCall, his injury is undisclosed. They said it over the loudspeaker up here in the press box when it happened that he would be out for the rest of the game. Coach Dorn, after this game, said he will be examined by the team here and probably in the coming days. So no report there. Not sure what that may or may not detail. Certainly wish the best for him regardless. But when you look at CJ Bailey in this game, there was a visible boost to the offense the moment he came in, outside of that very freshman interception that he threw over the center. And that's something to be expected of a true freshman. He had a couple throws. I think I had 3 by my count. More often than not will end up as interceptions. Only one of them was caught. But you, with CJ Bailey, based on what I saw today, you're going to want to take the good with the bad. The arm talent is very real. And quite frankly, he was just making plays that Grayson McCall has not been able to make so far this year. That's really all that needs to be said there. He was making throws that Grayson McCall has not been able to achieve so far this year. And you saw the way that completely changed the dynamic of the offense. I still have struggles with the offensive line. I still don't think it was a very good game for them. What was it? 36 rushes for 151 in total, helped in large part by a chunk run by Kendrick Raphael there at the end for 25 yards. CJ Bailey scampered a couple times to boost that total. Overall, not impressed by the O-line. I think they got pushed around again by an inferior defensive line. I certainly hope this won't be the case, but it looks like that may be a persisting issue as the season goes on. If you can't get Waters going consistently, if you can't get Raphael going consistently, if you can't get Smothers going consistently, that is going to put a world more pressure on your quarterback, whether it is McCall or whether it is freshman CJ Bailey. You become so one-dimensional. If you can't run the football, it's going to hold you back. So again, I'm pleading every week, we have to get better on the offensive line. And that's not an easy fix, clearly, but that is something that needs to be at the forefront of the coaching staff here moving into practice. Now, okay, CJ Bailey, again, because he should be the center of attention here for NC State fans. I was impressed. I had some doubts. I wasn't sure if he was ready for a moment like this. He had some very freshman moments when we saw him in the spring game, fumbled a snap last week against Tennessee. It's a really big spot to be thrown in and say, all right, rookie, go win us the ball game. He got it done, though. Again, the arm talent was real. I thought the runs that he did pull down and take off for, very smart. I was impressed with the ones that he kept and gained 12, 14 yards. That was very good, very experienced looking of a freshman. But yeah, I mean, just overall, the offense just looked different when he was in there. The offense looked like they had a boost that has not been there with McCall in there when you have CJ. So I mean, we're certainly going to get into it the rest of this episode, but that presents a very real question. In the event that McCall is healthy next week, what do you do? Again, we'll touch more on that in a little bit later on here. I'm going to go ahead and get to my first ad read of our post-game live show. If I can find my tab, that would be nice. It is eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships, but it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, and LED headlights, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. That's because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Our second sponsor of our live read is LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you simply cannot find anywhere else, even those that are not actively looking for a job, but may be open to just the perfect role. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses can get a qualified candidate within just 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. All right. Post-game live feed, Kenton and myself here on this Saturday afternoon. College football craziness Didn't think we weren't going to get it here at NC State. That's how we do things. NC State Wolfpack escaped with a 30-20 victory over the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Kenton, we spent some time on the offense. Now let's switch over to the defense. Giving up 20 points against Louisiana Tech. They had a couple burst plays that more or less can be attributed to poor tackling. What are your overall thoughts about the defense here?
Cisse's out. Aiden White's out. Giving up some bombs in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a necessarily surprising outcome. One of the things I was surprised by was a lack of tackling that I saw, which that is a problem. You talk about the O-line blocking. Tackling is another problem that seems to be persistent. But even the defense had a silver lining. And that silver lining is the pride of Cary, North Carolina. Number one in your programs and number one in your hearts. Davin Van he just carries the mail every time, man. He just shows up and delivers every time. The interception that was returned for a pick six against Tennessee was because of who?
Davin Van.
You see this young man force another interception and a fumble today. It's what he does. It's how he does it. I told everybody years ago that he was going to be special. He was going to be amazing, and he has been that. Now we need folks to come along with him. Come with him. He's showing you the way. He's leading. He's not one of those leaders that's going to get in your face and talk all that junk to you to get you riled up, and he's not going to perform. He is leading by example. If the rest of our defense can follow the example that Davin is setting, we will be just fine in that regard. I'm not too worried about a few big bombs being hit on corners that, again, just objectively speaking, they're not normally our guy. I'm not too upset, too worried about that. I am worried about the tackling. But again, despite that, the play of Davin Van has been amazing. It's been phenomenal. I want to see a little bit more from Red Hibbler. I want to see a little bit more. I expected him to really come on strong this year because he was going to get more opportunities. And it's been a little bit underwhelming. But I really think that he's a special talent off the edge. And I think if he comes alive, that helps out in terms of not getting hit by some of these bombs and whatnot, because his speed and his get off that edge are like a great equalizer in terms of not allowing receivers to get deep, even if it is Aiden White, Cisse, Cooley, or Coley, whoever. If he's getting home quickly, you don't have that time. So defensively, it was a better performance than maybe the numbers would imply, because other than 2-3 big plays, I mean, they really did a really good job as always. But again, the tackling is my big area, because that's 2 games in a row now. Western Carolina, the tackling was pretty good, but that's 2 games in a row now. Every FBS team you played, you've struggled to tackle, which is like, what's going on here? Because you don't have any more FCS teams last time I checked.
Right. And Reggie Jackson, real quickly to answer your question, Aiden White did not play. He was not dressed to begin this game either, was listed as a minor injury. I've been told it's nothing real big to worry about, just kind of precautionary. And when you're looking ahead, you got Clemson on the road next weekend. So Aiden White did not suit up today. However, Brandon Cisse, who plays opposite of Aiden White, did suit up today, and he went down to injury. Certainly hoping that is also a nothing burger moving forward, because we cannot afford to have both of our corners dinged up going down to Death Valley. But yeah, Kenton, just furthering your points on Davin Van, he took this game over. And in a game where you had so much uncertainty on the offensive side, I thought the defense really showed up in a massive way there to begin the second half. That pick six completely flipped the momentum shift. I mean, you got Louisiana Tech up 11 at half. The whole world feels like it's crumbling around us. That's how it felt in the stadium, at least. Everybody's like, are we really doing this again? In 2024, we're doing this again. And then boom, pick six. Davin Van influences it. DK Kaufman takes it to the house. All of a sudden, there's life again. CJ Bailey comes in, we end up winning the game. That's all fine and dandy. Defense as a whole, this another great showing as well. Caden Fordham, he kind of lucked into that fumble recovery, early in the game, but he was that defensive leader that we talked about was missing in that first game against Western Carolina. He was led us in tackles today, had 11 total, 3 solo. He had a TFL and a pass breakup. Did a little bit of everything in that Mike linebacker position. So very nice to see what he can do, and when he has full control over the defense. And so that was very key in this one. Sean Brown had a pretty decent game himself, 7 tackles, 4 solo. He had 2 quarterback hurries. The pressure on the quarterback late in that game made a really big difference as well when you're looking at the defense. So defensive line there at the end, of course, yes, led by Davin Van, really changed the dynamic of this game when it got a little bit hairy there in the middle. So I guess what everyone wants to hear us talk about, where does NC State go from here? So Kenton, I'm just going to go ahead and put you in the shoes of the head ball coach. Let's say you are Dave Dorn. Grayson McCall's healthy. This is hypothetical. If Grayson McCall is healthy, CJ Bailey's healthy, and he just won you this game, who are you starting at Clemson?
You see my face?
I know what you're about to say.
You know what my philosophy is in terms of I always want to play the more experienced player unless it's a close competition. The more experienced player should show that he's more experienced, and it shouldn't be close. But if it's close and you're a net positive, I'll leave the senior in. If I think both of y'all will be net positives, I'll leave the older guy in. This is not close. I saw multiple people saying, oh, do you want his first true start to be on the road to Death Valley with them coming off a bye? Yes, absolutely. I'm not waiting around. I'm not plodding around. We have done this song and dance before, have we not?
Sure have.
We've done this. Well, this guy has more experience. Well, go with the best 11 players. Period. Best 11. That's what it is. Right now, which of these quarterbacks puts you in the best situation to win? I believe it was Jake. I cannot remember how to pronounce his name, but Jake C. that I was talking to on Twitter, and he said to me, well, I think that CJ Bailey's going to be the better player, and he is the better player right now, but for the specific situation of going on the road, forget all that noise. Because guess what? If I let CJ Bailey take the licks, take the whatever is coming from Clemson this time, right? If I let him take it this time, what do you think happens when he goes back to Death Valley? He knows now. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. The game is slowed down, and he's back. Oh, and by the way, how many of the guys currently that are mainstays in the receiving core, pass catching core, won't be around the next time that he has the opportunity to go back? You see what I'm saying? Noah Rogers has the opportunity to be around if he chooses to be. Same with KC. Same with I believe almost everybody except Wesley Grimes and Joe Lee will be the only ones that in 2 years they'd be gone.
I think except Dakari Collins as well.
Yeah, so Dakari Collins, Joe Lee, and Grimes. That's it. And I might be wrong about Grimes. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about Grimes. So everybody else is going to be there. Go on. Let's see what he's got. Go on and let's see what he's got, okay? Let's do it because you have no touchdowns versus touchdowns. Which guy do you want leading your offense? So that's an objective truth of the matter here. One of these guys, it's not like CJ Bailey brought an element to the offense that they could not have prepared for with Grayson McCall in terms of athleticism. He was not out there running and doing things that you're like, oh, never in a month of Sundays could Grayson McCall do that. As a matter of fact, early in the game, Grayson McCall was pulling it down and looking to run too soon, in my estimation.
Yep.
So with that being said, listen, this is easy. This is simple. Don't overthink it. Don't have loyalty to seniors. Have loyalty to winning. This isn't the North Carolina State McCalls. This isn't the North Carolina State Baileys. It's not the North Carolina State Boones or Gibbses. It's about the Wolfpack. What is best for the Wolfpack? That's CJ Bailey by a mile.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some conversations. It's a small sample size. Louisiana Tech may or may not amount to anything this year. Truth be told, I don't know how you can watch this game and not go with CJ Bailey. Yeah. The offense, like I said, was visibly improved as soon as he stepped a foot in this game. The O-line at times even looked like they were a little bit more cohesive with a taller, more, I can't say confident, but a taller, more physical quarterback back there in the pocket. The wide receivers are getting separation. CJ was able to stretch the field in a better way that McCall hasn't been able to do. Again, I was really impressed with CJ's poise, being able to pull down a couple runs when he felt like he needed to, and he did. He escaped the pocket, continued a couple drives. I was really impressed with what I saw from CJ Bailey today. So, yeah, I mean, if you had to put me on the spot, Give it to the freshman. Let's go, rookie. You came in and you won this game for us. I would like to continue that type of momentum because, again, assuming McCall can be healthy for next game, what have we seen that would provide you confidence that he can go get it done at Clemson? And I'm sorry to say it, but that's where we currently stand. This is D1 ACC collegiate football. This is not about feelings. It's not about playing who made what in NIL. It's not about who's been here longer, who hasn't been here. You have to play your best 11 players on the field. After what I saw today, I think CJ Bailey gives you the best shot at the quarterback position.
And the thing that would bother me so much about going back to Grayson McCall is the question would be based on what information are you doing?
Exactly.
Because you can make the argument that CJ Bailey had a small sample size. What, he had a sample size of 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters, just about?
Yeah.
Grayson McCall had 1.5 or 1 3/4, however you want to count it. And under his belt against the same Louisiana Tech defense. Did they lose anybody at halftime? Did some of the guys decide that in an act of protest for having to leave the great city of Ruston, they weren't going to come out of the locker room or something? Did that happen to their best defenders, Grayson?
Not that I saw.
So they both played their best defenders, and one guy, the offense was immensely more productive than the other. What are we doing? What are we talking about? You can be a captain from the sideline. You can lead with the clipboard in your hand. Everybody said that Brennan Armstrong did a great job of it this year. Well, congratulations. It's your turn now, Grayson. It's your turn. Be a great leader. Wear the clipboard. Show up. Be prepared. If anything happens to CJ, be a great mentor. Help him out with all the things. But it's clear. It's clear. It's too much burping a baby. It's too much inaccuracy on short passes. It's too much the things that you're supposed to be good at, you're not good at. If you're not good at your strengths, what are you good at? So, with all due respect, listen, it was a good experiment. We've learned our lesson, right? We got a little giddy in the portal because, when the portal opened up, many people were going to make mistakes. I knew that was going to be part and parcel of the game. I just didn't know which mistakes NC State was going to make. The mistake that NC State has made once, now really twice, trusting the transfer quarterback. Trusting, hey, we need this new shiny transfer as opposed to what we've already got in-house. Now, with all due respect, maybe I was wrong about what we had in-house last year because the young man still isn't starting at his new school. None of my business, neither here nor there. But I know what we got in-house now, y'all saw the goods the same way I did. Y'all saw what I saw. Yeah, did he make some turnover-worthy plays? Absolutely. But again, he's a freshman. I'm okay with a freshman missing on a stick route. It's going to be a little upsetting, but it's like, he's young. He'll learn. He'll learn what that looks like. I'm not okay with that happening with a 6-year guy because he needs to know. So, for me, it's not a question. This is a non-question question. It's like, hey, would you like an extra $1 million in your account tomorrow? Well, that's not really much of a question. It's like it's more of a, how bad do I want this thing to happen?
Yeah, it's kind of what I was talking about. I mean, you only have so much time in the span of a 12-game season. These early games are meant for working out the kinks, figuring out what you do best. We're 3 games in, and unfortunately, we don't have many answers for what we do best. And so when you're faced with a situation like that one, and you get a performance like this one from CJ Bailey, you have to ride that hot hand. More thoughts on this after our third and final sponsor of the day. That is Factor Meals. Sorry for the abrupt change here. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes or less. With over 35 different meals and more than 60 different add-ons to choose from, every week you'll have new flavors to explore. You can treat yourself to restaurant quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and maybe even some blackened salmon. Head on over to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off of your first box. Plus, if that wasn't good enough already, you get 20% off of your next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com. All right, last couple minutes here of our post-game live feed here on Saturday, recapping a 30-20 victory for NC State over Louisiana Tech. We saw a lot of things. We saw CJ Bailey come in and be a hero. We saw the defense bend at times. They didn't break at times. They ended up forcing enough pressure to change momentum in this game in the second half. There's a lot of good. There's still some bad to work through. Week 3, we're 2-1, which is more or less where everyone expected us to be. Now you move toward Clemson week, and we still have a lot of questions. Are we going to be able to run the ball effectively on Clemson? I don't think we know yet. Who's going to be the quarterback against Clemson? I don't think we know yet. Will the defense be able to contain Clemson and Klubnik and Maffa and their young wide receivers? I don't know if we know yet. There's a lot of questions. However, what this team did show me today, for I guess the second time this season, when you count them out, they are able to rise back up and take control of a game. I don't know if that's going to help them against Clemson, but at least they don't quit. They did quit against Tennessee. They did. But the other 2 games, when they came back and won, they showed enough heart and enough focus and enough leadership from guys like Davin Vann that they made it count when it matters the most. A lot of questions heading into Clemson week. Of course, we're going to have a ton of content for that one. Our biggest game left on the schedule, there's really no doubt about that, after, post-Tennessee here, moving into ACC play. Kenton, what are your biggest concerns for NC State as we move into ACC play?
I mean, I think the biggest concerns are obviously the offensive line play. It has been atrocious, to say the least, at times. And don't get me wrong, they have shown moments where they gave. So the reason that I say, hey, I think Bailey's the guy by a mile, there were multiple times where pockets were clean today.
Yeah.
And McCall just could not find anybody, couldn't get it done, didn't want to make throws in the tight windows, which at some point, dude, you got to let them hang. You got to let it rip. You got to let it rip. The game is not about avoiding turnovers. It's about finding points. It's about scoring. It's about doing the right thing. It's about, hey, is this read open, and is it going to help us move closer to where we need to go? Great. Then I need to fit in that window and get it going. So, but even still, I would say the offensive line in terms of the run game, it's just not been good enough. It just hasn't. And our running backs showing the type of talent that they're showing has been really a revelation, because I think we have 3 guys that can legit go.
Yeah.
They can legit go. So if we can get the offensive line to come on board, that'd be very special and important. But my last big concern is tackling. Phil Maffa is a load.
Yes.
If you think that you can get him down with an arm tackle, with a shoulder, with a little thud, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The boy's going to keep running up the hill till he gets back to Howard's Rock. You understand? That's what you're looking at there in terms of not in terms of 2 straight games where you struggle to tackle. So those are my 2 biggest issues, because both of those issues are issues that are persistent through multiple games. Neither one of those issues are things that we just saw today, and it's like, oh, man, that's tough. The deep bombs is something that's exclusive to today. In terms of Western Carolina and Tennessee, you did not see the same amount of deep shots where it looks like one of our corners is looking at the back of somebody's head as you saw today. So I'm okay with that. But the tackling and the run blocking, definite red flags for me.
Yeah, I did like what I saw from our running backs today. The numbers might not exactly reflect it that way, but I thought Raphael run pretty well. I thought Waters, for the most part, ran pretty well. Just still, he's going down a little too easily by arm tackles for my liking, but he had a couple pretty decent runs there for, the offensive line that he was given. Not so much Hollywood Smothers in this game. I was disappointed by that. I think based on what we saw against Tennessee, Smothers certainly deserved more carries in this one. That's going to be something we have to watch moving forward. I think he has so much talent. It feels impossible to keep a guy like that off of the field. So I would certainly hope that he'll see an increased snap count down at Clemson. Another point, Noah Rogers. I thought we were finally getting glimpses of that Noah Rogers talent that we had talked so much about in the offseason.
Yes.
Only had, I think it was 3 catches for 37 yards. All 3 of them great catches. There was one in particular, CJ threw it kind of in traffic over there by the sideline. Rogers went up and snagged it out of the air. And instantly when that happened, I was like, that is the guy we've been waiting to see. So that was certainly a bright spot. Justin Jolie, I meant to mention this earlier. Please, can we get this man in the end zone? He has worked so hard for three weeks in a row and has not been able to find pay dirt. he deserves a touchdown more than anyone else on this team. And I hope it would be what a stage it would be if he could get one of those things down there at Clemson. So more work for Justin Joly, still not feeding him as much as we need to, because he is a dynamite weapon on the offensive end. Certainly hoping CJ will find a liking to him in practice this week. If CJ is the guy, I feel like I should specify every time I say this. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be. We have our opinion, and our opinion is you should ride the hot hand based on what we saw today. I don't know how you could disagree other than experience. But, I mean, hey, if the freshman's going to come out and play fearless, who would we be to disagree here?
Yeah.
Anything else?
The one reception by Jolie is, so he can still break tackles after all. It's still a skill that he has in the old toolkit, because I was told after you get tackled by a corner, it just goes away from you. But look at
careful now.
Interesting how that looked. But no, in all seriousness, I 100% agree with everything you said, Grayson. And to me, experience, it's like staying in a bad relationship just because you and that person got time and like, oh, I don't want to start over again. So you're gonna be miserable for the rest of your life because you and this person got time. Go be happy, man. What are you doing? It's Coach Dorn, Dave, you know you're my guy. Dave, go be happy. Go get your happily ever after with CJ Bailey. Are there going to be some growing pains? Is he going to yell at you when you leave the toilet seat up and all that? Sure. But damn it, go get you some happiness. Go get you some wins. Go get you some offensive production with CJ Bailey.
Yeah. Recapping a 30-20 victory for NC State. Another nail biter, but they got it done in the end. Moving to 2-1, moving into ACC play, moving into Clemson week. We certainly have a lot to talk about as the Clemson trip, the biannual Clemson trip is upon us yet again. NC State escapes with the win. Thank y'all so much for joining us on this post-game live feed. As always, y'all are the best. This is one of our favorite things that we get to do, these post-game live feeds, because we love seeing all the thoughts roll into the comment section.
Yeah.
Love getting the temperature instantly. That raw reaction is fascinating to us more often than not. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments down in the comment box. Tell us what you thought about NC State's offense, NC State's defense, CJ Bailey coming in to save the day, the uncertainty status of where Grayson McCall now stands. Anything else you have on your mind, drop that down in the comment box as well. We will see you all on Monday for our big picture episode. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.